Now in Scotland, the national team's women's head coach Shelley Kerr has been at the Show Racism the Red Card's annual creative competition event, which sees young people coming up with creative ways to promote messages of anti-racism. Now Kerr thinks there have been an improvement in behaviour at grassroots level and thinks education is vital.
No, I definitely see it, certainly since I was a kid at grassroots football, my early introductions into football, I see a huge change and a huge shift, and that's for the benefit for everyone.
Do you think campaigns like Show Racism the Red Card are working in this country?
I definitely do, and it's all about educating at an early age. The more educated our young kids are, then the more beneficial it'll be for that inclusiveness that we need in football.
Well, we can speak live now to Chris Priestley from Show Racism the Red Card. A very good evening to you, Chris. Talk us through the event and what's going on behind you, if you will.
We're here at Ashfield, a local community team in Glasgow, and we're doing one of about 30 educational events we do around Scotland based on our kind of anti-racism educational workshop. So the young people, they get an opportunity to get a basic introduction into the kind of core principles of anti-racism. They get to understand about stereotypes and how our expectations of one another might lead us to make deliberate or subconscious judgments of them. We get to talk about what racism is and inappropriate language and how things they might have thought were banter or jokes are actually very hurtful and racist. And we also get to talk about how we treat one another. So they get a bit of that and then they come, they play some football. It's all very enjoyable.
So why do you think it's important to tackle things at a grassroots level?
We find that a lot of the young people, when we meet them, have had no anti-racism education whatsoever. So 74% of young people who come on one of our courses are doing their first ever anti-racism work, yet 63% of them have experienced racism or witnessed racism in their footballing communities. So it's something that has a lot of demand. Young players, when we speak to them, they really want to have the tools to challenge racism, to report racism, and thankfully we hear really good feedback from our workshops. 78% of young people say they would feel confident to safely challenge racism after working with us.
And up in Scotland, just talk us through how much of an issue is racism in grassroots football up there?
Well, we're determined to try and make sure that racism isn't a part of the grassroots game, but for as long as Scottish professional football has an issue with racism, it's going to make it very difficult for us to make a difference at grassroots level. So for as long as monkey gestures are being made to Scott Sinclair, as long as historically we've got slurs, banana throwing, and incidents such as that, chanting against the likes of Jason Scotland, it's really important that the football on the whole makes a determined effort to prioritise anti-racism work and to eliminate it throughout the game, as well as at grassroots.
Chris Priestley, thanks ever so much. We'll let you get back to the action behind you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.